Oh, the moment was nothing short of apocalyptic glory. Picture this: the sun, a blazing golden orb, barely peeking through thick, ominous clouds that churned like a furious cauldron above New York Harbor, casting an eerie twilight over the Statue of Liberty, which stood proud yet somehow vulnerable against the encroaching chaos. The air was thick with the salty tang of the sea, mixed with the sharp sting of impending disaster. Suddenly, from the depths of the murky waters, a monstrous, gargantuan squid erupted with tentacles like colossal serpents tearing through the waves, each sucker glistening like black pearls of doom, writhing with terrifying grace. And there, in the very eye of this nightmare, stood Dwayne The Rock Johnson, his muscles rippling like iron chains forged in the heart of a volcano, eyes blazing with a fierce determination that could melt glaciers. His mind was a battlefield of thunderous thoughts, disbelief wrestling with an unyielding resolve, adrenaline coursing through every vein like liquid lightning, his heart pounding a primal rhythm as his senses sharpened to razor precision. Was this a hallucination? A test from the gods? Or destiny calling him to rise like a titan? Beside him, his loyal and quick-witted sidekick, Mia, a fearless marine biologist whose skepticism melted into awe as she clutched her waterproof gear, voice trembling between scientific disbelief and fiery courage. Around them, the world seemed to hold its breath, boats scattered in frantic retreat, gulls screaming like banshees, waves crashing against the statue's base as if trying to warn of an ancient wrath awakened. The city's distant skyline flickered uncertainly, lights flickering like a heartbeat on the verge of stopping, shadows dancing madly in the surreal haze of impending doom. Dwayne's trademark grin, half challenging, half defiant, cut through the tension, revealing a man not just ready but craving the fight of a lifetime. This wasn't just a battle for survival. It was a clash of legends, an epic tale that would ripple through history. The ground beneath their feet trembled with the promise of untold mysteries lurking beneath the waves, secrets whispered by the ocean's depths. But for now, the questions swirled like a tempest: what monstrous force had summoned this beast? And could the Rock's sheer willpower and indomitable spirit save Lady Liberty from becoming nothing but a forgotten relic beneath the sea? The scene was set, the players ready, but the true saga, was only just beginning. As the initial shock of the monstrous squid's terrifying emergence began to ebb like the retreating tide, Dwayne The Rock Johnson's jaw clenched with the weight of a colossal decision: how to confront this nightmare that defied every rule of reality he'd ever known. The air, still thick with the acrid taste of salt and fear, now crackled with a fierce urgency as The Rock and Mia exchanged a brief, steely glance that spoke volumes. There was no turning back, only forward into the unknown. With a grunt of determination, The Rock hoisted a makeshift harpoon fashioned from broken ship parts, muscles taut like steel cables, every fiber in his being tuned to the impending battle of wits and strength, while Mia, clutching a battered tablet loaded with oceanic data and ancient lore, started scanning frantically for anomalies beneath the waves, her mind a tempest of scientific curiosity tangled with primal dread. Their footsteps echoed over the creaking deck of a stranded research vessel, the world around them a chaotic symphony of crashing waves, alarms blaring, and distant shouts of panic as the city grappled with the unthinkable. Suddenly, from the shadows of the mist emerged a tall, enigmatic figure cloaked in dark sea-weathered gear, Captain Elias, a grizzled ex-Navy officer with eyes as cold and deep as the abyss, whose sudden arrival brought both relief and suspicion. His grudging respect for The Rock's fearless demeanor hinted at a potential alliance, though trust was a fragile currency in this brewing storm. As they pressed on, probing deeper into the watery mystery, mental barriers began to rise like impenetrable walls. Self-doubt gnawed at The Rock's legendary confidence. Flickers of fear whispered that brute force alone might not conquer this abyssal terror, while Mia wrestled with the terrifying possibility that the creature was no mere animal but a herald of ancient, unfathomable forces beyond human comprehension. Physical trials surged in tandem, sharp rocks tearing at boots, treacherous currents threatening to drag them beneath the waves, and eerie, haunting echoes that seemed to mock their every step. Every discovery unraveled more riddles, strange symbols etched into sunken ruins, unsettling sonar blips that defied natural explanation, and whispers of a shadowy syndicate manipulating events from the darkness, their motives as murky as the depths themselves. Emotionally, The Rock's usually unshakable resolve trembled under the weight of responsibility, not just for the statue or the city, but for the very essence of hope in the face of chaos. While Mia's scientific rigor clashed with her growing belief in forces beyond logic, her skepticism eroding into a fragile faith in the impossible. The tension thickened, the horizon blurred by uncertainty, and every breath drawn seemed to carry the promise of either salvation or utter annihilation, setting the stage for a journey where every step forward was a plunge into deeper shadows, where friends could become foes, and where the line between myth and reality was dissolving fast. This was no longer just a fight for survival. It was a descent into the heart of an ancient enigma that would test the limits of courage, intellect, and the very spirit of mankind itself. At the edge of this monumental abyss, where every heartbeat thundered like the roar of 1,000 storms, Dwayne The Rock Johnson and his unlikely band of allies stood poised on the razor's edge of destiny, the final confrontation looming like a colossus carved from shadow and nightmare itself. The air hung thick with a charged stillness, the world holding its breath as the city's distant lights flickered like fragile beacons against the encroaching darkness, and The Rock's gaze, fierce and unyielding, swept over the assembled tools of war, harpoons reinforced with electrified cables, advanced sonar disruptors scavenged from the wreckage, and a cache of experimental explosive charges painstakingly rigged to exploit the creature's only revealed vulnerability. A pulsating, bioluminescent core hidden deep within its labyrinthine tentacles, vulnerable to precise strikes yet fiercely guarded by an aura of otherworldly energy that seemed to warp reality itself, with Mia meticulously cross-referencing ancient texts and modern data. She had pieced together a strategy as delicate as it was daring, luring the beast into a confined zone near the statue's base, where their combined firepower could strike with devastating precision. A plan that required impeccable timing and nerves of steel, for a single misstep would spell catastrophe not just for them, but for the very heart of the city and everything it symbolized. Captain Elias, battle-scarred and hardened by decades of combat, barked out final orders, rallying a ragtag fleet of vessels and emergency crews who stood ready to back up the strike team, their faces masks of grim determination, while beneath the steely exterior, The Rock grappled with an undercurrent of doubt and a flicker of vulnerability rarely glimpsed, a deep, aching fear of failure, of being the last line of defense against an ancient terror that might prove too colossal even for him. Yet amid the storm of emotion, a burning ember of resolve blazed, brighter than ever, fueling his towering frame as he clutched a keepsake from his past, a simple, worn band of leather symbolizing everything he fought for. And Mia's eyes met his with a shared silent vow, their partnership forged in fire and fear, ready to face the abyss together. The enemy, now fully revealed as a primordial leviathan awakened by a nefarious cabal seeking to reshape the world's power balance, was as cunning as it was monstrous, its intelligence rivaling its strength, weaving illusions and tidal waves of destruction with terrifying ease. Yet beneath that terrible power lay the fragile core, their hope, their target and their gamble, the final moments before. The storm were a fragile dance of preparation and reflection, as weapons were checked, breaths were drawn deep to steel the soul, and fleeting memories of loved ones and lost battles flashed like lightning through The Rock's mind, crystallizing into a fierce determination that this would not be the day the light was extinguished. Every decision, every whispered command carried the weight of fate itself. And as the dark waves began to churn with renewed fury, the calm before the cataclysm was a crucible of raw emotion and unbreakable spirit, an epic pause before the titanic clash that would echo through the ages, where the courage of a few would stand between salvation and oblivion, and where the choices made now could change everything in a heartbeat or a breath. The moment of reckoning exploded with a cataclysmic fury that shook the very foundations of the city, as Dwayne The Rock Johnson charged into the heart of the storm, his every muscle screaming with the raw power of desperation and hope intertwined. The monstrous leviathan unleashed its full terrifying might, colossal tentacles crashing like thunderbolts, waves towering like ancient gods summoned to obliterate everything in their path, yet the rock, with unwavering grit and blazing determination, moved with a precision and ferocity that bordered on myth, dodging and striking, his harpoons laced with electric fury piercing the beast's thick hide in a deadly dance of life and death, while Mia orchestrated the chaos from the command center, her voice crackling over the comms, a lifeline of sharp intellect and fierce courage guiding every move. Captain Elias and the fleet battled against nature's wrath, holding the line against tidal onslaughts and debris storms, their sacrifices echoing the relentless spirit of warriors who understood the stakes. This was more than a fight for survival. It was a battle to save the very soul of freedom symbolized by Lady Liberty herself, whose illuminated torch now flickered amidst the chaos. A beacon of hope and resilience. The emotional toll was crushing, with moments of doubt clawing at the rock's heart, visions of failure, loss, and the unbearable cost of this war, but it was a moment of searing clarity, a flash of humanity. Amid the monstrous tempest that shifted the tide, with a primal roar, he delivered a crushing final blow to the Leviathan's glowing core, igniting a chain reaction that sent the beast into a furious collapse, the sea itself seeming to roar its triumph and grief as the creature writhed in its death throes. Yet the victory came at a staggering price. Wounded and exhausted, the Rock and his allies emerged forever altered, carrying scars both visible and invisible, the weight of what was lost and what was saved etched into their souls. The city, battered but unbroken, began to heal, its people united by a newfound respect for the fragile balance between man and the mysteries that lurk beneath the waves, while the world watched, awestruck, as legends were born from the depths of chaos and courage. In the quiet aftermath, the Rock stood before the Statue of Liberty, now bathed in the golden light of dawn, a symbol renewed not just of freedom, but of the indomitable spirit of humanity that refused to be drowned by darkness, forever changed but unbowed. This epic saga closed on a note of hard-won hope, the echoes of the battle lingering like a whisper on the wind, reminding all who heard it that true strength is born from the heart of struggle, and that heroes rise when the world demands them most. So, if you want to join the adventure, witness more epic tales, and dive deeper into stories that ignite the soul, don't forget to subscribe and stay ready, because the legend of the Rock and the depths of the unknown is only just beginning.